I became something I hate, and it's nature's fault. Good morning, I'm Rock 107's Prospector. Yeah, nature forced me to become a litterbug. Let me tell you the story, all right? Because it's true. This is weird how it happened. After the show the other day, I'm driving home. It's almost lunchtime. I stop at Wendy's drive-thru. I figured I'll get like the 4 for $4, a little bacon cheeseburger and some fries and all that. Now, there's lots of birds. You know, those wrens, those little birds are all flying around, tons of them. And I get it because, you know, there's discarded fries around and all that, so they get some things to snack on. I pull up, I roll down the window to order, and one of the birds flies in the car. So I'm trying to order, and there's a bird flapping around in the car, and I'm trying to roll all the windows down. I open the sunroof, even though it's a crappy, kind of cool day still. I'm just trying to get the bird out of the car. And now I've finished ordering, laughing all the way through it. The lady's read it back. I'm still flipping out, trying to get this bird out of the car. I'm sure the guy behind me is laughing, but he's also beeping the horn. Like, yeah, okay, I know you ordered, move it along. And I understand that, because if I were behind him, I'd be like, same deal. So I'm trying to pull away from the speaker. The bird's still flying around and won't leave the car. I pull up to the window. I still have all the windows down, and this bird's sitting there on my dash. And when I slot it, it flies around and then lands right back on my dash. The lady, she's laughing her backside off, trying to take my money. And finally, she's like, if you toss some fries out the window, the bird will go after it. I'm like, oh my God, you're a genius. Perfect. I pull away into a spot. Chirper's still in the car, still sitting on the dashboard there. So I decide to do what the smart lady at the drive-thru said. I grab the bag and I go to toss some fries out, but now the bird hops in the bag. So now all of my food is contaminated, all of it. And I toss the bag out the window, and then I roll all the windows and close the sunroof as fast as I can. That way, the bird can't get back in. But I don't want to leave the bag there, you know, even though there's no way in hell I'm eating that food. So I get out of the car, walk to the passenger side, I pick up the bag, I figure I'll throw it away, but the stupid bird's still in there. That's it. I'm done. I drop the bag, I get back in the car, and I drive away, too embarrassed to go back in line and get more food. Nature made me something I abhor. Nature made me a litterbug.
Texting and drinking is never a good idea. We've all done it, and we've all regretted it. The drunken texts you forgot you sent. Prospectors collected them in inTEXTicated on Rock 107.
From the 740, just figured out why my bed smells like weed. I found a bowl in my pillowcase. Area code 954. I already brushed my teeth, and it's not even noon yet. Today's going to be a productive day. And from the 813, I slept, walked to the toilet, and woke up pooping. Easily one of the most disorienting events of my entire life.
You hit send, and we hit the floor laughing in inTEXTicated on Rock 107.
From area code 330, this pizza tastes like mashed potatoes. How high do you think I am? Area code 765, I'm currently prioritizing my homework by splitting it into things I can and things I can't do drunk. Oh, college. And from the 205, been considering the feasibility of adopting a kangaroo. Yes, I'm serious. And yes, I'm very high.
Proof that booze and cell phones don't mix in inTEXTicated on Rock 107.
From area code 802, Tostitos scoops are the best shot glasses ever. Eat it after as a chaser. From the 303, I just realized I put more money and effort into 420 than I did for Christmas. And from the 973, maybe tonight we can turn coloring into a drinking game.
Hey, we found them in your telephone in inTEXTicated on Rock 107. Prospector ruins everything, even the news. Tune in tomorrow for Prospector's Briefs on Rock 107.
Time for another episode of 1 Minute Inside a Woman's Head.
Well, it's the Lenten season, a time for sacrifice and reflection, a time to suffer for my sins, a time to think and get ready for the Easter season. What should I give up for Lent? I mean, I said I'll give up chocolate, and that's a start. But what else? Oh, how about drinking? I could give up drinking for 40 days. Or watching The Gilded Age. but I don't know if I could wait until Easter to know what happens. I wish I could get him to give up sports. I should get some kind of Lent credit for sitting through basketball games or even worse, baseball games. Talk about a snooze fest. I'll give up letting him watch sports for Lent. That's perfect.
And that was another episode of 1 Minute Inside a Woman's Head.
And now it's time for another episode of A Few Seconds Inside a Man's Head.
She's on me to give up something for Lent. I'm not even Catholic. Wait a minute. I'll tell her I gave up baseball. She doesn't know they're locked out. It's perfect.
And that was another episode of A Few Seconds Inside a Man's Head.
Hey, maybe they ought to change the name of the show to Wheel of Misfortune. Good morning, I'm Rock 107's Prospector. Look, people have made fools of themselves on the wheel many, many times before, but last night, all three contestants put on a display for the ages. The category was phrase, and the answer was another feather in your cap. Not exactly an uncommon phrase, with all the letters almost filled in. And I do mean almost all the letters filled in. It still took the contestants a combined 9 turns to solve it. I mean, it was so obvious by this point that it makes these folks look like imbeciles for not being able to figure it out. One woman made 3 wrong guesses. Here's the first.
I'll buy a vowel.
Okay.
An O.
2 O's.
I'll solve.
Okay.
Another feather in your hat.
Oh, no, not that. Not another feather in your hat. Another guy asked for a couple of wrong letters and he went bankrupt too.
$6.50.
G.
No G. Thomas. Uh-oh, the bankrupt got you. Laura, you have another shot at it. You can.
All right, so we're going to go back to Laura here. She's trying to try and solve it again. And then Chris asked for another wrong letter. Check it out.
I'll solve.
Okay.
Another feather in your lap.
No. Christopher. 900.
D.
No. Thomas.
Talk about embarrassing. I mean, you know their friends are busting them hard over this. So Thomas gets another bankrupt, and we're right back to Laura for her third guess. Third guess. Look, third time's a charm, right? Well...
Go ahead and spin if you don't know.
I'm going to go ahead and
spin.
spin.
Don't get buzzed out here on time. Well, what letter would you like?
A P.
Yes, there's a P.
So you're thinking, all right, she knows it. She knows it.
Spin or solve.
I will solve.
Okay.
Another feather in your map.
Yeah, not good. So then Chris gets another bankrupt. And finally, Thomas, who's had 2 previous bankrupts, he gets his first chance to solve this evidently very tricky puzzle on Wheel of Fortune last night.
You want to solve this?
Yeah, I'll solve. Another feather in your cap.
Yeah, there you go.
Finally, now I can stop yelling on my TV and get my blood pressure back to normal.
Bad news, but it's not all bad. It's time for the brighter side of Prospector on Rock 107.
This story just tells me I got to go to Cooper's more often. A guy in New Jersey was eating clams at a seafood restaurant last month and found a pearl. That pearl could be worth anywhere from $50 to $100,000. It really depends on the body of water the clam originated in. Last I heard, he was still having the pearl appraised.
Thanks. We needed that. The brighter side of Prospector on Rock 107.
Sometimes you got to do it. There's just nothing. What are you going to do? You got to do this or you're in trouble. Good morning. I'm Rock 107's Prospector. Sometimes you got to use a public bathroom. And a survey finds that almost half of us choose the toilet stall that's farthest from the entrance when we use a public bathroom. So add, is that far stall empty to today's list of top 5 questions you ask yourself before using a public bathroom. Here we go. Number 5. Will this teach me to stop eating at Chipotle? Top 5 questions you ask yourself before using a public bathroom. Number 4. Do I really need to shoot up heroin this badly? Number 3. So is this how I wind up catching hepatitis? Top 5 questions you ask yourself before using a public bathroom. Number 2. Should I hold it until I find a bathroom that's not covered in police tape? And the number 1 question you ask yourself before using a public bathroom, is this really how I want to die? There you have it.
What's a Yambag? A fool, an idiot, a blockhead, a dunce, or an ignoramus. You know, a dullard, simpleton, or a clot, nitwit, dipstick, pea-brain, mouth-breather, or cretin.
It's now time to announce the winner of Prospector's Yambag of the Day as decided by you at rock107.com.
Here are the nominees. Nominee number 1.
I hope they release the audio for 911 from this because I'm betting it's entertaining. Someone in Altoona, Pennsylvania was at a car wash last month, the coin-operated kind where you wash your own car. And while they were there, some guy hopped in the driver's seat of their truck and tried to steal it. His name is Jason Almeida, and he's 25 years old. He hopped in while they weren't looking and tried to drive off, but they heard the engine start, ran to the passenger side, and yanked Jason out. And here's why I wish there was audio. Because the owner of the truck held Jason down and forced him to call 911 on himself. Cops showed up and arrested him. He's due in court next week for theft charges.
Nominee number 2.
Barbecue sauce can make or break the experience, and apparently it was important enough for one man to stake his freedom on it. A 36-year-old man in Houston named Andre Thomas went to Dickey's Barbecue Pit last month for takeout. He left, but then realized they shorted him on barbecue sauce. So he called to complain. The workers tried to resolve the issue, but Andre was not happy, so he went back, threatened the employees, and said he was going to shoot up the place. Andre went back to his car, waited until the place closed and the employees were leaving, followed them, and fired shots into their car. One worker was hit and actually broke their arm. Fortunately, it sounds like they'll be okay, and no one else was hit. Andre was arrested and is facing 2 charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He was a felon out on bond, so he'll be held in jail until at least his next hearing in April.
And the winner is
the guy who tried to steal a truck at a car wash and ended up being forced to call 911 on himself. You are the Yambag of the Day, and we'll move on to Friday's Yambag of the Week competition. Stay tuned for more nominees for Prospector's Yambag of the Day, weekday mornings right here on Rock 107. Thanks for listening to Prospector's Prime Cuts podcast. Be sure to catch us live weekdays from 5:30 to 10 a.m. on Rock 107 or online at rock107.com or the Rock 107 app, a free download for your Android or iPhone. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss Prospector's Prime Cuts.